Bracketology. The next 3 weeks are some of the most fun and intense games on the calendar. I give you all my picks round by round for all three divisions, teams I'm most and least confident in to make a run, toughest picks to make, and exactly what region is the toughest to win. Subscribe here on YouTube before we get started, and let's talk some hockey, shall we? All right, but first, boys, listen up, okay? I'm not kidding when I say things are going to happen over the next 2 to 3 weeks that you will remember for the rest of your lives. A missed shot, a bad call, a big hit, whether it's a good or a bad memory, moments from these games will be burned into your memory so vividly that 15, 20 years from now, you'll still be able to mentally relive them as if it was happening again in real time. And I know this for a fact. Okay. I was just talking to two of my buddies last week that I played high school with, and we all remembered different things, but rest assured, we all remembered something about the time Forest Hills Northeastern ended our varsity careers back in 2008. We lost 4-3. There was a set of twin brothers on the team. Renneker was the last name, and I think they were number 87 and number 97, something like that. Real good players. We were up 2-1, maybe 3-1 even, with our backup goalie in because our starter was actually out with a blood clot issue. But we still gave him a hell of a game. Gave up a goal late in the third period, under a minute to go down 4-3. We called timeout, and I can tell you exactly where I was in the huddle of that timeout. And my direct quote I said to the team still plays in my mind. I'm not going to repeat it here, but I remembered the timeout. I knew it was late in the game. I knew it was under a minute. Couldn't remember how much, but my buddy I was talking with last week didn't skip a beat. He looked at me. He goes, 17 seconds. Like the rink, the locker room, the tears. For those lucky enough to end their seasons with wins, you'll probably still remember the tears. It'll just be tears of joy and excitement. So I'm telling you now, you will remember these moments. Do you want them to be great memories or haunting memories? It's all up to you nonetheless. But don't say I didn't warn you first. All right, so I've got complete bracketology here. These will be posted on my Instagram account throughout today and tomorrow and whatnot. So if you want to chirp me for any of my picks, feel free, head on over there. Newsflash, I've already gotten some picks wrong after yesterday's first round results. I guess I could have, in theory, fudged the graphics a little bit and changed some picks after the fact, but that wouldn't be very honest of me. So, hey, look, I'm posting this after some of those games went final. I got them wrong. I'll just admit it. I got them wrong. So, okay. I also posted almost 8,000 words on how 72 different teams could have a path to a regional championship over the next week. The link is in the description below. Check that out if you haven't already. You won't find better MHSAA hockey state playoff previews than that right there. So I've got all 24 regions here, and I wanted to rank them a bit first to give you a bit of an idea of, I don't know, which ones I think are the easiest and which ones are the hardest. And then that's easy isn't the right word. There is no easy way to win a regional championship. So can look at this maybe a little arbitrary ranking, however you like. I just looked at it, as a coach. If I'm airdropped into one of these regions at random, with a random team, a random draw of the teams in this region, is the end result predictable or is it pretty volatile? I guess maybe that's a better way of putting it. So I'll go through these relatively quick and then I'll give you my entire bracket in totality. And we can talk about each of those three divisions. Let me see. I'll go screen share here. Cool. We can look at this. We got it right here. Good to go. So in terms of what do I want to do? Predictable to volatile. We'll start right here. With Region 16, I got Trenton. After that, I got Stevenson as a pretty heavy runaway favorite here in Region 14. I then go Clarkston in Division 1 in Region 4. Then we get to Division 3 for the first time here with Alpena in Region 20. Right across from them in this same quarter, we got the Bay Reps. So you have Region 19 and Region 20 here right out of the gate. We go back to Division 2 here. I got Region 9 with Wreaths Puffer as a favorite to win the region here. After that, I got Flint Powers in Region 12. And then Brother Rice's region here in Region 15. Things are starting to get a little more sticky here, getting a little tougher, especially considering, Brother Rice here lost to U of D pretty recently here and now picking them over the Cubs there. Uh, let's see. We're at 9 out of 24 so far. So we're getting towards the middle of the pack here. Forest Hills Central in this Jenison region is starting to get a lot tougher. The room temperature in these regions is starting to heat up a little bit as we get to the halfway point. After this, I go to D3 for a couple. Sault Ste. Marie and Escanaba playing out of Big Bear Ice Arena. And then you got Orchard Lake hosting regionals for the first time in a couple of years now, too, with some good competition here with Divine Child, Chelsea, Lumen Christie. Orchard Lake's a heavy favorite there, but it's not such an easy path. I'll put it that way. Region 6, we go back to Division 1. The game everyone's been waiting for all season, Detroit Catholic Central and Heartland. Obviously, two powerhouses there, your top two teams in the state, likely to square off in your regional final. The regional scene starting to get a little bit tougher here. What do I got here? Oh, this region opposite Stevenson, Region 13, Rochester United, St. Clair Shore, Stony Creek. Where are we at here on the scale of 1 to 24? Region 13. We're at 13, so we're just past the halfway point here in terms of predictable to volatile. So right now we're right in the middle of the pack here. After that, we go Gabriel Richard in Region 24. We get to Howell and Cap City, planting a seed of doubt there in my Howell pick. We're going to get to elaborate on these brackets a little bit more, but Howell the favorite, Howell the pick, but there's still just enough doubt in the back of my mind with a tough Cap City team on the other side of that bracket that makes this five team region a little bit tough to project. After that, Midland, Dow, Midland, Marquette, Bay City, starting to get a lot harder to predict here with Region 11. Have Marquette here, but you're starting to look at regions where 3, potentially 4 different teams could come away with a regional championship in this group. After that, we get into East Grand Rapids. They struggled with Big Rapids last year. Lake Shore is a talented bunch that top line can produce. You got two familiar foes in the OKC with Grand Rapids Catholic and Grand Rapids Christian on the other side. So these regions starting to get a lot tougher here as we get into what are we at? 17 out of 24 so far. After that, Cranbrook, De La Salle, Liggett, even Marysville. It's no easy games as we start to look further down the list of regions ranked predictable to volatile, I guess is the best way we can put that. After that, Sparta, Region 1 in Division 1. Sparta, Traverse City West heating up at the right time. Mona Shores, Rockford. No easy sledding here. After that, we get into not one, but two KLAA heavy conferences or KLAA heavy regions. Right here with the Park schools with Salem, Plymouth, and Canton. You also got M1 United in there. Very tricky region here, especially considering the fact I'm taking Salem to win the region despite being 0-2 against teams on the opposite side of this bracket. On the opposite side of the quarter here, you have another KLAA heavy bracket, one game of which I've already gotten wrong. I took the Pioneers over rival Saline, and the Hornets, I believe, pulled out I think it was 4-1 final last night. So to an extent, bracket kind of already busted to a degree, but hey, illustrates just how tough these brackets are starting to get to predict as we get farther down this list. Now the 21 out of 24 regions here. We're getting into, let's see here. After this, come on. There we go. This may be, you can make a case that this is the toughest region to predict. In region 5 of division 1, where you have 6 members of the MAC conference all competing against each other in the state tournament. This region in particular, I'm going to get to it and spend a little more time on it later, but any one of these teams could make a legitimate case. You got 6 teams, all with a potential case, a potential path to be had for a regional championship. We keep moving down the list a little bit here. Region 17, this region has always been tough, one of the toughest year over year in the UP in Division 3, but now obviously with the rise of Jeffers as a top 10, top 15 team in the state this season, this it may be 4 teams, but it's never been harder to predict than this season. So, and then lastly, your toughest division, toughest region to predict was Region 10 here out of Kalamazoo. You got Matawan, Granville, Portage. A case could have been made for Portage to win this region, albeit falling in defeat last night, 3-0 to Granville. So we got one right. It's the toughest bracket to project, and we already got one right out of the gate. So that's good. Good here for Petey's picks, I suppose. But nonetheless, bracket still could very well be busted by any one of the 4 teams remaining in this region with Matawan, Granville, Byron Center, and Caledonia, obviously. So there are your Michigan high school hockey regions ranked in order of confidence, volatility, however you want to put it there. But nonetheless, this West Michigan region right here proving to be, in my opinion, the toughest of the 24 regions to win. So bring it back to center here for a moment, just so I can reset the deck and get you guys ready for bracketology. Give me a second here. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Try that again. While it thinks. Here we go. Boom. All right. Do I go Division 1 first? Do I go Division 3 first? I guess I'll start with Division 3. I'm going to start with Division 1. That was my plan initially. I'll go Division 1, Division 2, Division 3. So we will go in order here. Let me bounce back. I got to fix my screen share here. If I do this and this, there we go. And then I got to make one more move here before we're all set. There we go. All right. That way I'm not in the way of any teams or brackets. So I think we're all set there. All right. Division 1. I'm taking Detroit Catholic Central to win a state record 6th straight state title. The regional final matchup between Heartland and CC will be the game of the year in Michigan high school hockey. And it's a shame that this game has to happen at the regional level and not at Plymouth. Heartland Ice House will be packed to the gills. But this game deserves to be played in front of a sold-out USA Hockey Arena crowd of 5,000 plus. You'll have Ian Castamo fresh off of. Let me see if I can zoom in here for you guys. There we go. We'll do this on the graph. You'll have Ian Castamo fresh off of signing his NAHL tender with the El Paso Rhinos, squaring off against Peter Sainin. You got Ty Kraut on the back end, defending guys like Reese Hemme and Tyler O'Brien and Nino Sui. Justin Bloink looking to contain Ian Evans and Luca DiGirolamo. There could be as many as 6 to 8 junior hockey prospects on the ice at one time in this game. The Eagles have the upper hand in net, I think, with Vinny Sabala, and this game is at home. A lot goes in favor of Heartland here, but I just gotta see it to believe it. The winner of this matchup is likely your state champ later on in the tournament. Uh, Taking a look here, obviously at the Shamrocks, as I mentioned, to be your state champion. Toughest picks to make. Let me get into this a little bit. Uh, for me personally, Forest Hill Central over Jenison. I love my Rangers, but there have been some moments of, I'll say, letdown this season where they take their foot off the gas or a game gets away from them late. Jenison is a scrappy team, and I wrote in the blog on pdspicks.com, they are built for playoff hockey. They've been playing playoff hockey all season long. If Forest Hills ain't careful, the Cats could absolutely upset them in a regional final here. You got Jack Beetelick, Sam Beetelick, Landon Brewer, McLean Henning. There's plenty of reason to be concerned here in Region 2. All right, we'll keep moving here. Another tough picks, tough regions. I did mention, if I can zoom in over here. Whoa, too far. There we go. I did mention Region 5 here out in Macomb, 6 MAC teams in the region. This conference is hard to predict every single year because they all beat each other, but then they only ever play each other too. So uh, then they all play each other again in the regional circuit in the playoffs. So it's just very hard to get a read on them, and I'll show you. I illustrated this in the blog as well, but you got number 6 seed Utica Unified over here. I mentioned them on the pod a couple weeks back with Alexander Gorgievsky, fantastic forward, super skilled, a great finisher's touch as well. They're the 6th seed here. They've beaten number 5 Anchor Bay. Anchor Bay has turned around and beat 4-seeded Lance Cruz United. LCU beat top-seeded Ike. Ike beat number 2 Chip Valley. Chip Valley lost to Anchor Bay. It's just a shit show. It's a shit show in a great way because it's anyone's region to win. I actually like Romeo here. One of only 2 teams I'm picking to win a regional out of these, call it first round, quarterfinal ish, play in type games early on. We'll get to my other team in a little bit here too, but Romeo to me is the best team in this bunch. They've got the best head-to-head record amongst teams within the region. Drew Basha, Dylan Basha, the Basha brothers, to kind of touch on Mighty Ducks there for a minute, maybe. Basha brothers, Bash brothers. I like that. Really good combination there. It doesn't just stop there, though, too. You got Lincoln Lipasek, Brody Meyer. Both of those guys have eclipsed the 10-goal mark for the season. There's some good depth scoring there. And then plus you got Landon D'Angelo. He may be the best goalie in the region here as well. So Chip Valley, Ike, even Utica Unified, like I mentioned in round 1, will make life difficult. But to me, it's the Bulldogs truly surviving and advancing in the toughest region, or one of the toughest regions in hockey right now. Let me zoom out here again. Underdog of the tournament. Give me Salem here as I take a look at this quarter of the bracket. They're the 2 seed in their region, but should absolutely be considered an underdog here. M1 United is a tough second round matchup. The Rocks, if they win there, they get a matchup against a hated rival, whether it's Plymouth or whether it's Canton, who's already proved they can beat Salem. If Salem survives, they see a Brighton team or potentially a Northville team that they've already lost to as well. It's an uphill climb for the Rocks for sure, despite having one of the best lines in hockey. To me, Nolan Kaminsky, Dom Chappett have been really good this season. I think we're going to see them be great in the playoffs. This would be history for the Rocks if they are to, in fact, reach the Frozen Four as I got them here. But nonetheless, I got your Rocks as the underdog of the Division One bracket. One pick I'm most confident in is Howell here. I can zoom in on it a little bit here just to illustrate, I suppose. But even the Clarkston game in the quarterfinal doesn't scare me that much. Howell should breeze through the regional rounds. Cap City can play them tough and close, but the Highlanders are going to have the upper hand at all three levels of the lineup. They've got speed, they've got skill, they've got structure, can score off the rush in transition with fast strikes. They can bog you down in your own end, wear you out, and score some gritty goals as well. This would be Howell's first Frozen Four trip since the COVID shortened season that never saw a winner when they were a finalist with Heritage, CC, and Byron Center back in 2020. So, pick I'm least confident in. I'm gonna take the Spartans here to the Frozen Four, but I don't love a single one of their matchups. Even TC West in the second round, they're playing damn good hockey and could snuff out this run before it even gets started. Mona Shores is another difficult matchup. Forest Hills or Jennison both could be tough. This may be a heart pick, taking them to the Frozen Four here, just because I'm rooting for the Spartans to make some history here. It's a good group, tight knit bunch that's played together for a long time. I'm hopeful it ends with a long playoff run here, but I'm definitely worried. Teams in their path, in their way that I think are most likely to knock them off. I'll put them in order. I'm first most concerned about Mona Shores. Then I'm really worried about TC West, that first opening game, and then after that, probably Forest Hill Central in what would be a quarterfinal matchup there to keep them from getting to Plymouth. Okay, so there's your Division One bracket. If I go here, let's take a look at Division Two for the first time in totality. Some of the toughest picks to make right out of the gate. Let me zoom in here. Midland over Bay City. I believe Bay City has beaten Midland not once, but twice this season already. And they're the top seed in the region. But if Cade Sanborn and Lucas Mankoff can get to Nash Leonard early in this one, I'm not sure Bay City is built to win come from behind games. If they're forced to chase a lead, can guys like Austin Wiesenbach and Andrew Kazmarchuk, can they dig the Wolves out of a deficit? I'm not sure. I took Midland here. Both losses earlier in the season were one goal games. Just feels like a spot where luck runs out a little bit. BC is a good team. They're not luck per se, but they were outshot in both of those matchups and maybe a little fortunate to win one or both of those previous games. So to roll the dice a third time and try to come out with a win, I think is just too tough. So I'm going to take my chances here with Midland in this regional semifinal. To stay in this region too, Marquette over Midland Dow. Marquette's the better team, in my opinion, despite being the lower seed. But the long road trip to make it to this regional, I mentioned it on last week's pod. They got to go 348 miles one way. Uh, you'll be the away team. There's no last change, and it's on Midland's home ice. I could see the offense being a little sluggish and struggling in this one a little bit. That bodes well for the Chargers, who might not have as much skill or as much jump on the forecheck like Marquette typically does. The good news is Coach Garrow has been putting the Sentinels in these types of tough spots all season long. This will be, I think, their fifth trip downstate this season. It's been a tough schedule as well. It won't be their best effort, but championship teams find ways to win even on their off nights. So I'm hesitantly taking Marquette to advance to the quarterfinal rounds here. Okay. I mentioned this region already. Obviously, as we talked about earlier, the toughest region of all 24 across three divisions. Any game in this region in Kalamazoo was going to be tough to predict. Thankfully, like I said, started this bracket 1-0 after Granville beat Portage last night 3-0. But this region really is still up for grabs. Even prior to last night, I could have seen a path for Portage to come out of this region as well. Granville is uh, is my other pick here to go from the first round to the Frozen Four. I don't particularly love it. I love this Granville team, but Matawan up next will be a grind. If you survive that, you get the winner of Byron Center in Caledonia. Both of those are tough matchups for the Bulldogs. There's no easy way to win a state title. I mentioned that earlier. But this path is exceptionally tough. Three teams in my top 25 and a fourth team in Matawan that could be considered too. At the end of the day, they've got good goaltending. Aiden Karras just pitched his fifth shutout of the season. Reliable defense in Louis Gardine and Braden Vanderveen. A good mix of skill and sandpaper up front too. I think I'm going to go with Granville here. Like I said, to make their first trip to Plymouth since 2022. Actually, not too long ago, but slight drought there for Granville. Underdog of the tournament. I'm going to stick with it here. Granville to me is that kind of underdog coming from, like I said, call it your first four to your final four. I know they do that in March Madness. So yeah, Granville here, my underdog in Division Two. One pick I'm most confident in, and I'll zoom in on it here for you guys, is Livonia Stevenson here. Even on their worst night, I think it'd take a perfect effort from one of the teams in this quarter to have a chance, and I just don't see it. I like to be optimistic and give teams some hope and optimism there. Dexter, I mentioned, could keep it close early. Spartans are susceptible to giving up goals, and the Dreads have enough raw talent to create some offense, even against a top 10 team like Stevenson. St. Clair Shores here in a potential quarterfinal matchup. Uh, St. Clair Shores is probably built the best to contend with Stevenson of all the teams in Region 13, but they got to get there first. Stony Creek, RU, those guys aren't just going to roll over. Hell, I told you last week, RU should be the favorite to win the region. So I'm not taking them here, unfortunately. So, St. Clair Shores was a slight edge in goal, I think, and that top line for the Lakers is solid. Has a little bit of everything with guys like Gavin McKee, Caden Gersh, Isaiah Pecora. That line alone could hold up against Stevenson in the quarters. It's just Stevenson's depth that is going to wear everyone out in these early rounds, I think. So one pick I'm least confident in is my Marquette pick here. It does scare me quite a bit. Like I said, just considering the travel in tough matchups and having to play basically in Midland Dow and Midland's backyard there. Um, let's take a snapshot here. I'll zoom out and we can talk state champ here. Taking Flint Powers to win it all. This is a highly skilled team. Aiden Cook and Owen Perry are special. You don't see many players of their caliber in high school hockey. There's great depth here as well. Parmentier, Bernie, Bendall, Landon Miller has 10 goals this season. Hunter Clark has given them exceptional goaltending play in net. They're super talented and they play with this swagger, this attitude, this confidence. Maybe that they're better than you. Maybe they're not, but like they believe that they're the best team on the ice, which sometimes can hurt you, right? You don't want to get caught overconfident and overlook anybody, but I don't see that happening with Powers here. This Brother Rice matchup in the state semis is the most intriguing matchup on their path to a state title. I don't want to play Rice in the playoffs, and I definitely don't want to play them at Plymouth. Warriors are 11-4 in their last 10 Frozen Four appearances under Coach Chappett. 9 appearances, really, if you factor out the COVID tournament in which no games were played at Plymouth. So there you have it, your D2 bracket with picks and breakdown and analysis there. We will go to Division 3 next. And I probably saved the best for last. Of the 3 divisions, Division 3 probably intrigues me the most because I think it's pretty wide open and a lot of teams could make a case. Uh, when you look at Division 1, Division 2, you're looking at, 3, potentially 4, maybe 5 teams, with a legitimate shot at winning some hardware. You get into Division 3 here, it feels a lot more wide open with a ton of potential, for intrigue and upsets. Division 3, toughest pick to make was probably, if I can zoom in here, Cranbrook and De La Salle. The Cranes beat De La Salle 3-0 in their regular season matchup. But do you really want to pick against a team that just knocked off Catholic Central? Because I don't, but that Pilots team is flying high. No pun intended there. Pilots flying, whatever. But rightfully so, right? They've got 10 first year guys on the roster. And I think it's really starting to click for Coach Chad LaRose's group there. Vito Cavadio has points in 11 of the last 13 games. Connor Blackwood, 8 of his 13 points have come in just the last 4 weeks. The new guys aren't so new anymore, and they're starting to get it at the right time. So, scary game here in the regional final. I'm hesitantly taking the Cranes because let's not overlook the fact that Nick Timko is playing some great hockey as of late too. He's on a heater with with points in 10 of the last 11. He's got 20 of his 39 points in just the last month of the season there. So going to be a real tough regional final matchup there. Okay, another game, some other matchups I had a tough time picking. We'll get into Region 17 here in the UP. Any game here was tough. Houghton, Jeffers, Hancock, Calumet. Could be anyone out of this region, legitimately. Even the 4 seeded Copper Kings, that offense looked dynamic at the MIHL showcase. Tons of firepower up front, skilled, fast, heavy on the puck, strong on their skates. I won't count them out here, even in a tough matchup with Jeffers out of the gate. The Gremlins are probably going to make me look stupid again. I constantly find myself picking against them, and it's nothing personal, Coach. I swear. I like this bunch, and I know they're capable of a lot too. But maybe I'm just optimistic and hopeful for other UP teams to kind of achieve that same level of success as the Gremlins in recent memory here. 3 Frozen Four appearances in the last 6 years. Houghton's been a mainstay at Plymouth in recent memory, but it's actually been 30 years. 1995 was the last time that the Gremlins claimed a state championship. Could this be the year? I know I'm picking against them here, but if Houghton comes out of this region, I'd have them favored over the Sioux in the quarters. And then the Gremlins in this Frozen Four. Let me zoom back out here real quick. If you take out the Sioux and you plug in the Gremlins into this Final Four, the Gremlins would be your top seed of these 4 teams at Plymouth. So I know I'm not picking them here, but I'm not ruling it out, and I wouldn't be shocked to see the Gremlins in Plymouth either. So, underdog of the tournament. I guess I got 2 here, and I can probably they're in 2 different quarters of the bracket, but I can lump them in to one, this the screen at one time. I got Bay Reps and Jeffers, and the Reps. I talked about them on last week's pod. As challenging of a season as it's been with a super young group, I think they're the favorites to win their region, and I don't see why they couldn't add to the trophy case next week. I actually think they match up well with Alpina as well in a potential quarterfinal matchup. And then for Jeffers, it's just been such a historic season for the Jets and for high school hockey. This type of turnaround, the growth that the program has achieved with this senior class over the last 4 years has been incredible. I'm rooting for them. I hope they take this thing as far as they can possibly can because this is your true Cinderella story that everyone wants out of tournaments and out of bracketology and bracket busters. Jeffers is a legit Cinderella that could make noise at the state level, but to do that, they got to go through the one of the toughest quarters of the bracket here in Division Three. Let's say you survive this region of death in the UP to then go across to the east side of the Upper Peninsula as well and have to take on either Escanaba or Sault Ste. Marie. There is tough sledding. So one pick I'm most confident in, let me go up here a little bit, it is Alpina. Uh, Alpina, like Stevenson, there just isn't another team on the Wildcats level. Uh, Gladwin could keep pace and produce enough offense early to make it a close game in the regional final. But Gavin Winterstein, Garrett Hamp are the two best players in this quarter, and Clark Weir may be the third. So I'm not saying Gladwin can't beat Alpina. I just think a lot would have to go right for the G's and a lot would have to go wrong for the Cats. Beyond that, Alpina would be my favorite to win over the Reps. But Tyler Boynton Fisher could certainly ruin the party there if he puts up like a 45 save effort uh, and and uh, and take his reps. There we go. Sorry, take his reps back to the Frozen Four for a second straight year. But I like Alpina. Give them a slight edge offensively, especially too in that matchup. That even with stiff goaltending from the Bay Reps, Alpina has enough firepower there to break through. Pick I'm least confident in. I've talked about him a bunch already, so I'll be quick. Jeffers, it's just a tough road, man. It's just a tough road, and there's no easy games here. So Jeffers is my one I'm least confident in, worried about the most. I'll put it that way. So my state champ here, East Grand Rapids. It's actually a rematch of last year's state final, seeing Cranbrook in the finale again. I actually think that's just the way the Pioneers want it to. You could argue this team is better than the one last year that lost in triple overtime of the state championship. The top line is super high end, one of the best in the state. The defensive group maybe doesn't have the high profile prospects like it did last season, but is more consistent throughout 1 through 6. And I like this goaltending situation. Charlie Finch does not play like a freshman between the pipes. It's a big stage at Plymouth, but last I checked, the rink is still 200 feet by 85 feet, and the net is still 4 feet by 6 feet. Pioneers have been there before. They know what to expect. They know what coming up short feels like. It's burned into their core. They're bitter. They're angry. They're hungry. And it's time to eat. My pick to win the Division III state title, East Grand Rapids. So, okay, let's come back to center here. There we go. Okay. Bust them brackets, boys. Good luck to all. Be sure to hit that subscribe button before you go. More content coming your way. Hypothetical NHL awards from the regular season. We'll do state tournament power rankings on next week's episode of the 8 remaining teams in each division. State finals previews and a ton more coming as the playoffs unfold. Brackets, I told you I'll be putting those on Instagram in the coming hours. Follow me there and talk shit about my picks if you so choose. Favorites, underdogs. Whoops. There we go. Favorites, underdogs, long shots. Those are all on pdspicks.com as well. Be sure to check those out. Skate hard,